to go. But up next, we've got perhaps an opportunity to kind of, throw a wrench into things. We've got TT1 versus G0rynich. I think two of our longest standing Brood War players. Both have just been playing for an incredibly long time and have been very, very active lately. So I don't know what your thoughts are about this, Nyokin, but at least for me, it seems like maybe G0rynich is a little bit more on top of things. But I don't know. TT1 just has such a weird play style.
Yeah, people seem to think that G0rynich is the favorite here. I would argue that TT1 probably 50-50. That would be my guess. TT1's really good. So is G0rynich. Now, I'll be honest here. I didn't know who G0rynich was. Everybody talked about how good he was. I'm like, who is this guy? then I looked at his Wikipedia and he's not for you. I'm like, okay, now I know who this is. Yeah, before, 10 years ago, he didn't have that name. So I was like, who is G0rynich? But okay, G0rynich is a monster. TT1's also a monster. We saw G0rynich be a monster in that Louder tournament that I said. Of course, he played Zerg versus Terran a lot there, so I'm not sure about his Zerg versus Protoss. But I do know that TT1 took out True Touch in NA versus EU. He's got a strong Protoss versus Zerg, but he did play a show match versus Eon Zerg, I think last week even, and he lost 3-0. But from my understanding after talking to him after the games, he felt like he kind of just missed his timing, or he attacked a little bit too early. So if he can fix that and not attack at a weird time and just hit his play, I do think he has a good shot of taking out G0rynich. And one thing I do like about TT1 is he's got this Dark Archon play that he likes to pull out. So hopefully we'll see him use that.
I'm really excited. I think this game has the potential to look kind of weird. I don't know which maps this is going to be played on. So if Zero can put those up on stream and we can get a chance to figure this out, I'm excited, because if this is on some strange maps, then I would definitely agree. I think that if we make it all the way to Game 3, you can see it's Sylphid, Circuit Breaker, and Caceres. Caceres is still kind of an enigma to me. Enigma, almost as weird a word as Caceres, which is actually kind of a remake of whatever Caceres is backwards. At least if I remember reading the map lore correctly on that. I don't know what's going to happen if we get it all the way to set 3, but I think it's going to look super weird. But at least Sylphid and Circuit Breaker should look a little bit more standard.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if we've seen Caceres. I didn't get to see the Louder tournament if there was one for Caceres.
Caceres is pretty popular STPL map, so
okay.
If you watched any STPL, then you're going to kind of know what that looks like. It is still very strange, so let's not pretend like this is a map that when our players go onto it, they're just gonna be like, oh yeah, this is my Caceres build. Like, I don't know about that. It is still pretty weird. It's not like nobody's ever heard of it before, but it's gonna be weird. So it always surprises me when players let strange maps like this through, unless you've got a build for this. Maybe TT1's got a build. TT1 has got builds for map like Plasma, so I'm just like, well, he might have a build for some of our other like really strong or really, really strange maps in the map pool. Maybe there's a heartbeat build out there too, I don't know. But for G0rynich, I think his play, if things go standardly, will be he'll be at a little bit of an advantage. He's got just sick ass macros, so I'm excited to watch the series, and I guess I am ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, I guess we are ready for game number 1 of our second best of 3 of BSL Season 6 Group B. Here we go. All right, so starting at the 12 o'clock location as our white Zerg player, this is G0rynich, or Not For You.
And in the bottom left, we've got the great Protoss player from Canada. It is TT1. Yeah, so maybe you have seen more games of G0rynich, because to be honest, I have not seen a lot of his games other than the Louder tournament. So what can we expect? You're talking about great macro, but the thing is my experience versus GO-rynich, of course, is Zerg versus Terran, is he goes for a lot of Muta play, like 2-hatch Muta. So I'm not sure what to expect for his Zerg versus Protoss.
So the only time I've ever gotten a chance to talk to G0rynich was at that LAN in Moscow. And at least from talking to him there, I just asked him kind of like, what builds do you like? And he said, what was it? He likes going for 12 hatch play, but then he also said he likes things like 3 hatch Muta as well. I don't remember exactly which like matchups he's talking about, and that might be player specific. But in general, we're not going to see like that crazy, like 9 pool speed and go kind of style you would if you play any games on the Korean server at all. So it is going to look different. I think we'll get a chance to like really find out for ourselves kind of what level both of these players are at, because I think that does actually change quite a bit over time. Because I mean, a lot of times we'll forget that these are like players that actually have like real lives. Like these guys have other things to do than just play Brood War, which you might not know just because of how much they play Brood War. But things can kind of differ, especially with different maps coming through. But things should be this should be a great opportunity to kind of get a feel for what to expect. So it was that 12 hatch coming through, and it's just going to be a gateway expand from TT1 on the other side.
Yeah, so last week we also had Sugo going for gateway expands every single game. This is always interesting to me. We had Forge expand almost all of BSL last season. Now we're seeing gateway expand almost the entire way. So I really do wonder what has changed that we're seeing this deviation from Protoss. Now this time, just like in Sugo versus Nemu, TT1 did not send out the first Zealot initially. He's left it back at his base. I think that's because he hasn't scouted. He wants to make sure there's no Lings coming, but he has gotten off a full scout, and he still has not sent it. I'm wondering what is the reasoning for this. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, also something that was pointed out in chat is that this is actually 11 hatch with a 12 pool or the 10 pool after that. So that's going to give you a little bit of a less economic opening with a faster, Zerglings, and that should be just totally rock solid against anything that TT1 wants to do here. G0rynich also got the probe scout, so he knows exactly what's going on over here. And should be able to kill this probe off pretty quickly. And boom goes the dynamite. There it is. So now if he wants to do anything super crazy, he can, because TT1's going to be in the dark for a while.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, we see gas being spent somewhere, and it went into speed. It's not going to be a lair. So if TT1 ever moves out with these Zealots, that is a potential opportunity for G0rynich to catch them. Now, even though TT1 didn't move out with these Zealots initially, because he has gotten the gateway first, he's got a surprising amount of Zealots. So G0rynich does need to balance his Lings and drone count. He can't just be like G0rynich and build drones forever. One thing I am noticing that TT1 is doing is this gas is really late. A lot of times in Zerg versus Protoss, you're seeing Protoss get a very fast gas, get that cybernetics up extremely fast, which allows them to get the Sarah or fast Citadel. So this is a pretty drastic deviation that I'm seeing. I haven't seen this often.
Yeah, it's definitely maybe stylistic, you could say. I'm not sure exactly what to make out of that, but right on time, we're seeing this 4th hatchery go down, and I don't know if it's certainly not going to be up in time when these Zealots hit, but it is still going to form that or provide that same function of being a big kind of pseudo wall up there at the top. And I think somebody was saying it in chat that if you do move out with the Zealots against this, or at least where you find yourselves with an 11 hatch, it's not, you're going to be a little bit behind there. So let's watch what happens when a bunch of Speedlings meet 5 Zealots in the middle of the map. I'll give you a hint, it's not going to go too well for the Zealots.
Yeah, these Zealots need to get into, like, up against a wall or something, because they're out in no man's land. Luckily for TT1, he's able to get most of them back to the side. He's getting into a position near the wall. Oh, he's going to get surrounded. This is a lot of Lings. I think that the Lings will clean him up, but he is microing pretty well. Traded about as well as he can. But all those Zealots that he was banking up are now gone. But GO-rynich did have to spend a lot of larvae to build all those lings, and he even built more. So that was, even though TT1 lost his army, I think that was a decent trade for him.
You know, I don't know, because those zealots are supposed to hit a hatchery, and they didn't. So at this point, G0rynich, maybe he did have to double quotes overmake lings early on, or make more than he wanted to, but now he gets 5 hatcheries for free. And I feel like one of the biggest problems out in at least the Korean ladder is that Protoss players have a really hard time getting their third base. You almost have to just wait until Storm and then try to push out and get one. So that can be really, really difficult up against things like 5-hatch Hydra if you get pushed that way. And it does look like that's what G0rynich wants to do here. So I'm not sure if TT1 is going to be able to hold that, because that's gonna, I think, be the pivotal moment for this match.
Yeah, so TT1 lost his zealots, but he did sneak in a probe into the main while that was happening, and he scouted everything. Now, we know that there's hatcheries on the right side of the map, but it's kind of unlikely that the lair is going to be built there. So TT1 has pretty much confirmed that this is going to be 5-hatch Hydra, and in response to that, he did put down Citadel before Stargate. There's no Stargate at all, and he's gone into 5-gate Zealot. So his Zealot count is going to get really high, really fast. His +1's about to kick in. He's going to have a surprising amount of Zealots pretty soon, and I'm not sure if G0rynich's production is going to be able to keep up. He's got good... Okay, never mind, take that back. He's got great saturation everywhere, except for maybe the main, just a little bit lacking, but he's got really good econ.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, he hasn't really faced any opposition all game long. He knew that he had to catch the first group of Zealots. He did that, and if you can do that, then like, what do you need to worry about? I think the only thing that could be surprising is if he doesn't find a way to scout what TT1 is doing. He hasn't had vision of the main for a while, but I think he's pretty sure that he's just going to be facing waves of Zealots, and that's exactly what's out there. So the Zerglings haven't caught these manlots running across the map, but that SimCity is almost unbreakable.
Yeah, fantastic SimCity from G0rynich. We see his +1 weapon for range is halfway done. He's tight at his natural also, so TT1's not going to be able to bust in here. I think we were talking about how difficult it is for Protoss to get a third base. Now, TT1 has map control, I think, at this point. He could potentially start thinking about taking a third base. He's got Templars coming out, so I would not be surprised if he goes for a third base pretty soon. If there is that probe, it is going to be taking the Nexus. I'm trying to find... Okay, there is the lair for G0rynich. Now, is he going to get lurkers? Yeah, the lurkers are halfway done. So yeah, we're just going to be going into standard 5-hatch Hydra with lurker play. Going to probably be that defensive play that we see often from Zergs.
Well, this is exactly what I was talking about. It's so hard to get your third base as Protoss. Instant cancel with the speedlings running up. I guess that was just the pylon there, so it's not like you had to cancel a Nexus. But the idea is still the same. How do you put a Nexus down there? He's got only Zealots to try to defend there. Maybe if you can get a pylon up, you can build some cannons and try to hold that way. But if you don't have higher tech, and we're starting to see the High Templar come out now, it's just going to be so difficult. He's going to still try to break through this natural. That is never going to happen.
Yeah, I think he's just... Okay, he's getting flanked. A huge flank from the back, so all these Zealots most likely going to... Oh, are they going to get away? No! G0rynich blocking the path of half of them. That's a lot of Zealots lost for TT1, and you can see that it's so many Zealots lost that he even has moved off of the third base. So this third base is not going to go up. That's triggered 3 more gates, or 2 more gates from TT1. So now he's going to have to go for that big Dragoon bust before even thinking about getting a third base.
Well, I mean, if you're trying to go for a Dragoon bust with only 1 Dragoon, I don't know how well that's going to work out. But I just want to see what happens when do we have lurkers yet? Yeah, okay, we have 3 lurkers coming down to join all the Hydras, but I don't know how well Zealots are specifically going to hold up against that. It looks like he has 2 Storms right now, maybe 4 when this attack hits, but this is going to be the hardest Nexus in the world to hold.
Yeah, and you said it about G0rynich. You king of macro because he's got 100 supply versus 105 for Protoss. That's unreal, and there's no observer here, so this lurker's going to deal critical damage to all these zealots. Great storms, but he's shut down the third already.
Yeah, you don't even have to stay here as the Zerg player. Like, holding this position, I feel like maybe that's a little bit overextended, but when, especially like you said, Nyokin, there's no observer, like what are you gonna do? Are you gonna storm each lurker? You don't have that many storms, because you still gotta kill the Hydras too. So I guess we'll get a chance to watch if he can ever retake this position, because there's more and more Hydras going to be streaming across the map. He hasn't even sent the next batch of lurkers over. He's already got like 4 or 5 or 6 at his 4th base. So looks like TT1, instead of trying to take a 3rd base of his own, might just try to push out and stop a 4th of G0rynich coming up, but that might be even harder.
Yeah, I thought he was going to attack that 4th base from G0rynich, but it looks like he's circling around. So now he'll be able to get a sandwich onto this small army at the 3rd, potentially. He's kind of posturing back forward. Okay, he has drawn some of the Hydras and Lurkers out of position, and now he'll be able to jump on top of these Lurkers and kill them pretty fast. Where's the Observer? There it is. Okay, these Lurkers will go down.
Yeah, a little bit slow, but still lots of just kind of ancillary splash damage coming down from there. TT1 is actually catching quite a few units out there between those Lurkers and a couple of Hydras here up against the wall. You know, it's not like G0rynich is taking 0 losses here. He is actually pretty heavily supply blocked after losing that Overlord, so he can't actually make units right now.
Yeah, so TT1 has a bit of a window here to attack somewhere. He needs to get something done. He can't just let G0rynich take 4 base, whether he attacks the natural or 3rd or something. He is catching a few units that are out in no man's land, but he's not going anywhere with it. He's just chasing them, and this is just buying G0rynich time to get unsupply blocked, to get Sunkens and potentially Spore set up at his 4th base. But where's TT1 going? It looks like he's going to try and bust the natural, and there's actually not that much there. Look at the supply for TT1. He's at 140.
Yeah, this is a huge explosion. He's got 10 gateways pumping behind this. There are lurkers in position, but by now there's actually quite a bit of storm energy through here. Not the greatest storm right there, but he's catching the lurkers morphing, and that's going to be pretty big. The Observer is here in time to help the Zealots kill off the lurkers, and even though a fresh batch burrows, they're going to hit by an instantaneous storm and taken out. The storm energy is starting to run out though, so maybe there's enough Hydras here to hold on. Storms just keep coming, and I mean, TT1, is he doing it?
It looks like he's doing it because he's got so many Dragoons left over. He's reinforcing from the left side. Supplies for G0rynich. All of a sudden, we're at 60 to 110. So we're doubled in supply, and G0rynich is scrambling. What are all these Overlords doing at bottom right? Did he just, look at his supply, 182? Did he just build 12 Overlords?
I think he might have held down that key a little bit too long. Okay, so who needs 3rd bases? Why would you ever get a 3rd gas as a Protoss?
Yeah, why? I don't know. Apparently you don't need it. You just hit that really sick Dragoon timing, which TT1 hit. And we saw G0rynich, he had a big army, but he had like 10 Hydras to the left side. He had a bunch of Ling Lurker at the bottom. And then TT1 just busted the natural, picked off a bunch of units essentially for free. And it kind of just snowballed from there.
Yeah, I think the kind of the biggest thing for me is that for a while there, TT1 was kind of chasing G0rynich around the map. And yeah, maybe that was good for G0rynich because he got a chance to get his 4th base up. But he also kind of lost a bunch of units during that while TT1 was pumping out of 10 gateways and having time for storm energy to build up. And so you combine losing units from running around the map versus a player that's just swelling in units. Oh, at the same time, I think G0rynich was also supply blocked there. So yeah, when you spend like 1,000 minerals making Overlords you'll never use, all of that's going to kind of combine to make it a little bit difficult to hold there in the end. So wow, that was a pretty solid first game there for TT1, who looked like he was in a lot of trouble for most of it. So I don't know, maybe my analysis of that was just super off there, but it did look like it was a little touch and go there for a while.
Yeah, it really looked like G0rynich was just going to have a lurker field set up everywhere, and there would be no place for TT1 to attack, and then we're going to have 4 base Zerg versus essentially 2 base Protoss, and that's almost impossible to win for Protoss, but TT1 had a sick timing, caught G0rynich out of position, and then unfortunately building 10 Overlords doesn't help. But if G0rynich can just not have that little blunder, just a little more solid, for sure he can win, because he should have had the last game.
Yeah, I'm actually just really excited into like a standard map coming up here at Circuit Breaker. I think it's by far our most standard map in the map pool. I think this is where we're really going to get a chance to see, if the solid macro style from G0rynich can prevail in the end, because I think you're probably going to see a similar opening out of both players. Gateway expand from TT1 and at 11 or 12 hatch from G0rynich. Maybe even a more economical start. I don't know. But this is where we'll really get a chance to see that big slugfest. So I'm hoping he can last, or TT1 can get that infamous, illustrious third gas. Perhaps this is the game we're going to see it. And for G0rynich, maybe he will have a chance to use 12 Overlords being built at a time. I don't know. But I'm excited to get into game number 2.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
All right, so here we go. It's game number 2 of our second match in Group B. In the bottom right-hand corner in the blue is our Russian Zerg player G0rynich, or Not For You.
And at bottom left, we have the Canadian Protoss. He's up 1-0. It is TT1. Now this is an interesting scout already from G0rynich, because a lot of times when I watch games, of course they go vertically, and that lets Protoss do a mid scout to mid right in this scenario and determine where the Overlord is. Now G0rynich is going just directly this way, so if TT1 goes for a probe scout like that, he's not going to suspect that G0rynich is bottom left.
Yeah, there's always this sort of, what do you want to call it, mysticism with scouting directions. I think there is a double quotes best way to scout based on the earliest possible information that you can get. So yeah, this is actually kind of interesting, because Overlords are slow. You only get one chance to sort of decide what you're going to scout with that Overlord, because it's just too slow to scout 2 things. But hey, it's working correctly, so there's only so many things you can say about that. G0rynich is going to get this information and see whether or not this is going to be a Forge or Gateway opener for TT1.
Yeah, and G0rynich, we were talking about what he likes to do last game. Well, we've got a 9 pool this time. And based on how last game went for TT1, where chat was saying how 11 hatch 10 pool is a counter to Gateway expand, it's not surprising to me that TT1's going for a Forge here, because he probably suspects that G0rynich would go for the same build. So I do like this deviation that we're seeing from TT1, and it's going to be pretty good for this pool build that we see coming out from G0rynich.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. So for a couple of reasons. One, I love to watch one player go for an eco opening and another player go for an aggressive opening, because I think you learn a lot about each individual player's strengths and weaknesses. Like if you're an aggressive player and you know how to leverage that early aggression against eco players, you can really just almost dent them enough to where you have an advantage for the rest of the game. But likewise, if you are a really, really good Forge, Protoss, you can actually leverage such a huge advantage by having your cannons up exactly when you need to, defending that natural expansion, having a huge eco lead going forward from there. So let's find out. This is our first 6 lings out on the map. Probe scouts them almost immediately. First cannon is about to finish warping in. You got to throw down the rest of that wall there, TT1.
Yeah, this cannon, it's potentially not going to get up just barely. The lings are already here, though. A full probe. Oh, they're getting on top of the cannon. The cannon goes down for one link.
So bad. I mean, he's still going to kill off the majority of those Zerglings, but like now what do you do? Like you've got 2 lings in your main.
Yeah, so this was a bit greedy from TT1. He didn't scout at all. He almost
Yeah.
got the cannon up in time. If this was an overpool compared to a 9-pool, it would have been on time, but it wasn't. What just happened? So G0rynich, kind of a big blunder there, lost all of his lings. Now, TT1 sees what's going on in G0rynich's base because he's got that probe there. So this one cannon will probably be able to defend these 2 lings. I don't think that they're going to make it by. It's going to be close, though. But regardless, that was a misstep by those Zerglings.
Yeah, I think you can run those Zerglings around in the main base for infinity if you just want to keep that information there. But he was trying to run back, pick off a probe, delay that cannon. I don't know. I don't know why you go back and attack the cannon with that last ling when you don't really have any more Zerglings coming back behind that. Like, if you just keep the lings in the main, you don't care if there's a cannon in the natural. You can just keep getting that information there. But I think that could have been much worse for TT1. As is, it was very scary. But hey, now he's got a cannon, a wall, and a natural expansion up. And he's got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, this went about as well as it could have gone for TT1. There was really a good opportunity to get those lings into the main, force probes off the line forever. Now TT1 is stabilized. G0rynich is taking 3 base. He even killed the probe, and that has triggered another probe coming out from TT1. And there is that Hydra Den from G0rynich. So we're not going to have 5-hatch Hydra. This looks like a 3-hatch Hydra play. Oh, the probe got in. I guess he glitched it through the mineral before that last probe died. Is this going to see the Hydra Den? Oh, yeah. This is critical. He sees the Hydra Den in 3-hatch.
That is so crazy. I guess that's how probes work. It's like that "this is how Mafia works" meme, but with probes and Protoss instead. It's the only thing he needed to scout at this point is to see if it was going to be Hydras coming, and it is. And it's the difference between 3-hatch and 5-hatch, and if you have to prepare against Hydras this early, you're going to need a bunch of cannons. If you have them, you're good. If you don't, then you just straight up die. And so thankfully that information is going to allow him to prepare with a couple of extra cannons at the front.
Yeah, so TT1, he's in the dark again. He's got to judge how many Hydras are coming. I do like what G0rynich is doing. He's built 3, so it does look like he's potentially going for a bust, but we see it's not a bust. But TT1's got to respect that we see the 2 cannons coming down, but he's also got his Citadel down already. There's no Stargate again. He's going to be going into a bunch of Zealots. Now, TT1 has another probe out on the map. He's going to go in for another scout. I'm trying to look at the natural. He's going to the natural. There's nothing there. The lings are at the 3rd. So he's going to get off this another amazing scout. He's going to see that drone man's coming in. Yeah. Doesn't have to worry about Hydras.
Well, yeah, this probe scout is actually super important. He's going to try to probe block the ramp. He can actually run up. He could run back up. Oh, my God. Because there's 2 versions of this. There's the one where you build a bunch of cannons and the Hydras come and try to bust you and you survive. But then there's also the one where you build a bunch of cannons and it's a fake bust and your drone opponent, your Zerg opponent is just droning behind it. And he's going to get in. Oh, loses the probe right there. But he's basically going to see that there's no more Hydras coming to reinforce this. So maybe it was a little bit too early to throw down cannons there. I don't know, but either way, I think TT1's kind of figured out he doesn't have to worry about being busted immediately. And consequently, on the other side, that he's not going to have to, or that G0rynich is going to play a more economic style.
Yeah, so we've got the lair for G0rynich. I'm checking the Hydra Den. It's got range almost completed. Now, oh, he caught all the Hydras. Now, this Overlord that was in TT1's base, it saw the Citadel. So G0rynich knows what's coming. It's going to be Mass Zealot again. I hope he gets Lurker Upgrade. There it goes. It just started. But there's a lot of Zealots already out. We've got 7 already. He's got 5 gates, so he's going to be at 12 maybe within 20 seconds or so. He's already going. So no Lurker Upgrades. Look at what G0rynich has. We have about 5 Hydras, 5 Lings. There's no Sunkens either, so I'm really worried that TT1 may just end the game right here.
Nothing is more powerful than never skipping leg day, Nyokin. This is something that I have skipped almost every day of my life, but these Zealots have not. This is a full control group headed right across the map, and I mean, wow, that's just quite a bit. There's almost no SimCity here either.
Yeah, there's no SimCity. I think this is just done. We have equaling amounts of Zealots as Hydras and Lings. That can't possibly go well for you. But somehow G0rynich has traded pretty well with those Hydras on the high ground. But here come more Zealots. There's just flat out so many Zealots from TT1. He's got him rallied. More coming across from his main. But if G0rynich can hold it, he'll have lurkers, but I just have he's feeling the pressure. Now we even have a drone pull.
Yeah, I mean, you can block the ramp there with a couple of lurker eggs, get lurkers up, and then defend that way. But maybe you still take too much damage there. I don't know. He needs to get those lurkers out as quickly as possible. But this is so much pressure. There's even more zealots coming in. They just never stop.
Yeah, they're just going to keep putting on the pressure. Even though he didn't get many drone kills, well, he might have, because I'm looking at the saturation at the net. There's not many, and look at the third. There's nothing here. There's no hydras. There's 2 sunkens. Lurkers are morphing, but they're not done. Well, this one's about to finish, but 1 lurker I don't think is going to be able to deal with 12 zealots.
Yeah, no, certainly not. I mean, the zealots just keep on coming. It's like the subtitle of that Andy Samberg movie, Never Stop, Never Stopping. He's just continuing to go harder and harder and harder. To G0rynich's credit, he is actually holding this off a lot better than I expected. Now he's got lurkers out, and if TT1 doesn't, keeps trying to make this work, eventually it's not going to.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is we dealt a decent amount of damage to G0rynich, but we're still building these zealots, and now that lurkers are here, it's not like we have observers. Oh, these zealots are gonna catch the lurkers. It's so critical they catches them.
Oh, he did force them to burrow, but he's not gonna be able to kill them without that observer. And so these lurkers are gonna be in a pretty good spot. I mean, they're continuing to deal. These are the most confused. These zealots are hurting themselves in their own confusion. What?
Yeah, so like TT1 had an opening, but I feel like we just kept going a little too hard, because now we have pure zealot versus lurkers. There's even lurkers at the natural. There's lurkers at the third. So these zealots are going to be shut down. It's not like we have a lot of dragoons out already. We're just starting them. Now we have Sares for some reason. So
what is this Protoss build? I'm really confused here, Nyokin, because he also has no second gas either. So we thought TT1 hated third gases. He hates second gases too.
That's true. I didn't even realize that no gas. So it's not like we have a bunch of gas banked up to build a bunch of Templar. There's only one zealot dragoon timing is going to be all he has.
Oh my god, there's only one pylon powering everything at the front door. If he loses this pylon, all the cannons and the forge are unpowered.
Yeah, I'm not sure if G0rynich recognizes that, but there is an opportunity to go in right now with no detection. Well, observer just popped as I said that, but regardless, I'm loving G0rynich's position at this point, because we just don't have the critical mass from TT1 just yet.
Wow. Well, let's see. No +1 it looks like on these Hydras, so they're not super scary. There's another big force of a control group of zealots headed out across the map to the north, and there's dragoons following through from the south. These lurkers, they're fast, not that fast, and they're gonna get sandwiched and taken out. So losing 2 lurkers for free, that's gonna feel really good. And so now G0rynich has got to hold on again.
Again, G0rynich a little out of position. Hydras are, well, they're more in sync this time. But we thought TT1 had no hope. Now all of a sudden he's got so many zealots and dragoons here, catching the lurkers on the bridge. Where's the observer? There it is. These lurkers have to die if TT1 wants to bust here. The lurkers just do so much damage to the zealots. I think G0rynich just has a little too much.
I think he's gonna hold here. There's still a lurker in the main, and now the Muta switch is coming through. I think this is really gonna catch TT1 way off guard.
Yeah, so there's not any Archons, no Storm. All we have are Dragoons to fight the Mutas, and there's just flat out too many Mutas at this point. There's that one Sare, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Well, maybe it will be enough right now, but we know that more Mutas are coming out, more Lings, Hydras, everything. Yeah. This is probably the end of TT1 supplies, or even now.
He is actually losing quite a few Mutas here. So that is kind of surprising, but you're right. There's more and more and more on the way. You're just going to build up a ton of Mutas. Dragoons cannot handle that, and neither can TT1. GG. G0rynich takes game number 2.
Yeah, that was a very weird game. The initial opener, I thought TT1's dead, but then the Lings didn't get by, and then TT1 had a really good Zealot timing, but then we stayed on Zealots too long, which gave the flow back to G0rynich. But then it looked like G0rynich was going to die at the very end until those Mutas popped. So really cool game coming out. But yeah, it's tied up, and it could definitely go either way.
Yeah, you know, the most interesting thing about that series is that even though we talked about it being a bigger map, maybe you know, some macro going on, there's no macro to be had there. We didn't even see a second gas from TT1. He was just Zealot Man all game long, and you know, I thought he was gonna look really scary early on, and then G0rynich held on perfectly, and then we come out with a second control group of Zealots, and I'm just like, wow, you know, maybe this is the moment. But that sick Muta switch at the end, really kind of the nail in the coffin. After kind of losing a bunch of lurkers in the middle of the map, it's like, is this gonna be where G0rynich dies? No, Muta switch comes through. Really, really well played there, and so I'm happy that this is the series that we get to see go all the way to 3 games.
Yes, finally, we are into the third map, and it's not benzene or something like that. We got Kaiseris. Like I said, I've not seen this map that often. It's pretty interesting. I played it versus Nagram. I thought it was pretty good until Nagram dropped about 100 lings and lurkers in my base. So that is a real threat on here because of spawns. If you get both top spawn or both bottom spawn, you know, look at the drop distance. It's very close. You've got to be on top of that the whole game. If stairs are ever out of position, or you know, hydras are not in position to catch something like Reaver, we could see devastating damage with some sort of drop from either side.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect out of this map. It's weird when I watch it in STPL. It's weird when I watch it in like random show matches. It's still just weird. So I think yeah, we're gonna learn a lot from this. The only thing that I have learned about this is that it has like vision blockers at some weird places. The only other map that I've seen with that is Whiteout. So maybe a precursor to that. I have no idea what to expect. So I guess I just want to watch the games.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's see.
Okay. So without further ado, we're going to start game number 3 of our second best of 3 series. This is TT1 versus G0rynich. Game number 3. Hell yeah, beating Ioken on the latency change. Goddamn, you gotta step your game up there.
I do.
So at the 12 o'clock location, this is our Russian Zerg player, G0rynich.
And in the bottom right, we got the Protoss player. It is TT1. Yes, I wonder what the opener is going to be from both players, because we've seen complete opposites every game. We've seen 11 hatch, and we've seen 9 pool, and then we've seen gateway, and we've seen forge. I wonder what this time is it going to be. Are we going to see Nexus first? I doubt it, but that would be a pretty interesting build if TT1 goes for Nexus first here.
I don't know what to
scout though.
Yeah, so there's 2 things that are really interesting here. One is that G0rynich hasn't shown a particular style. It's been all over the place. 2 is like scouting is really like super important on this map, because I think 2 of the bases are pretty close by air, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let me pull up this map. Yeah, so they're too close by air, but they're very far away by ground, because there's a lot of like overland paths and high and low ground to run up. So I'm guessing that makes it good for like mutas, and I think there's tons of good carrier spots, but you know, I don't think we're gonna really see that as a viable you know, late game tech. So it's just really interesting. There's also like these weird neutral temples that open up the island bases on the side of the map. I'm not sure how much of this early game thought processes go towards utilizing any of these map specific features.
Yeah, I'm not sure. If we look at the overall map, like we see a third base, no gas. So it's similar to Circuit Breaker in that aspect, that Protoss, when they take this third base, doesn't even necessarily want to take it. But look at the terrain. He can get hit from so many angles if G0rynich goes for 5 hatch Hydra, which I think that's what G0rynich would probably go for. If he can take his main nat and then this close third base at mineral only, that would set up for 5 hatch Hydra play really nicely. If he goes for the left side, the left side main is so far away, and I don't know if 5 Hatch Hydra would work that well from that position. So in this game, I do think that G0rynich should take this mineral only, and that's where the drone is going.
Yeah. I don't know. You mentioned that, so for the Protoss, you're trying to get that third gas. Uh-oh, it's not there at the third base. But for TT1, we know that he doesn't need that third gas. So I think that'll just work perfectly well for him. I do think that he's learned his lesson about that last game, almost facing total disaster from losing that first cannon to the 6 Lings. So this time he should be more prepared. He's got 2 Zealots, but they're not actually in a very good position to like block that or like deny surface area. So these 6 Lings are just going to run right by.
Yeah, so they're running by. Not only that, this probe that was in position to put down the Nexus, look at the Nexus timing. It's not even up yet. We're at 500 minerals. Probe almost even dies. Forced out even another Zealot. Every Zealot built here delays the Nexus longer and longer. So this was a nice move from G0rynich, and unlike last game, the Lings are actually in the base, so they'll be able to pick off probes potentially. We see G0rynich going for that third hatch at the mineral only. The only thing we're gonna have to look for is it gonna be 3 Hatch Hydra? Is it gonna be 5 Hatch Hydra? Ling's got another probe. This is really nice control from G0rynich.
Yeah, and he's not doing anything dumb like running them into the mineral line and getting them surrounded by probes. He's being active and annoying, and these 2 Zealots are just gonna be sometimes, you know, you wake up in the morning and you're one of these Zealots. You're just like, well, it's just not going to be a good day. Their exercise is total futility. It's about the journey, not the end for them. So as long as G0rynich is really active with these Lings, he can actually get a pretty big advantage, not only from taxing TT1's multitasking, but also from getting tons and tons of information from the main. Maybe run down to the natural, but he's got that Overlord scouting everything out there. And behind this, we are going to see that third come up. But once again, it is not a gas base, so that might hurt G0rynich a little bit more than TT1.
Yeah, so TT1 has a probe in the main of G0rynich. It got off a scout. It saw that the drones mined 100 gas, and it even saw the drones pull off of gas, so he knows that it's going to be Speedling play right now. The Lings are still alive, which means if speed kicks in, there's a real threat of continued damage for these Lings. There's a small counterattack from TT1, but I don't think this is enough Zealot. He needs to run because speed's about to kick in, and if they get caught, look how open his nat is right now. There's one cannon. There isn't even any complete wall. Yeah, wow, there's 5 Zealots.
I love the process of that commentary. It's like, well, the Zealots need to run, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that five is a good number to have. Now, I still think that there's too many Zerglings here, so most of these Zealots should actually die, but it is still pretty scary. So most of these Zealots should actually die. Okay, damn, that was such sick micro. He had all of those Zealots on red health at the end. So really, really well controlled. That went about as well as it could have.
Yeah, I'm so confused because it was originally 3 Zealots, and I saw 12 Lings. I'm like, well, these are dead. And then there's 5 Zealots, and then I'm like, okay, well, they got a better chance now, but I still thought they were going to die. But then I'm looking at G0rynich saturation. Like, it's getting good now, but it was 2 drones at the natural. And meanwhile, TT1, this Ling is still alive, I want to point out. But he's dealt with the Lings pretty well. He's forced out a lot of Lings. The econ for G0rynich is shot. It's not like we have 5 hatch going up now. There's only 3, and meanwhile, TT1, he's got his Citadel down again because he's gotten that probe scout in, saw exactly what's going on, and we've got 4-gate follow-up.
Yeah, I actually really love this high gateway play from TT1. Now, I will say the downside is that Muta switch just totally screwed him in that last game. And if you're going to go this heavy gateway style, that is very vulnerable to that switch kind of catching you off guard later on. So props to G0rynich for realizing and executing well on that in the last game. But we've got some steps to follow before we get there, right? We've got to get this third base up and running. There's still no gas here, so if G0rynich wants that, he's going to have to find another base, and he's going to have to survive until that moment. Now there's another one of these 5 magical Zealot attacks from TT1, and it's already gotten a probe, or a drone.
Yeah, now they're a little out of position. They're going to trade not the greatest now that there's some... Well, are they? I see 2 Zealots with full health. Okay, they are going to run away now. But regardless, look how many Lings G0rynich has had to build. The saturation at the natural is still abysmal for him. And meanwhile, TT1, he's just continuing to skyrocket. We've got 60 supply versus 40. I have a feeling that TT1, once he gets speed, where it's going to be like last game, where it's going to be there's going to be a real opportunity for him to bust in here, because there's just nothing from G0rynich right now.
Yeah, he still has no natural gas. A Zerg having only one gas at this point is still a little bit questionable. TT1 has more gas than G0rynich does. That should really surprise you at this point. And he keeps just doing these 5 Zealot attacks over and over again. They just keep trading so well and taxing G0rynich's economy. And I think TT1 might just barely have the edge. Because at this point, I think G0rynich has almost too many hatcheries, more than he can use.
Yeah, this is amazing play from TT1, forcing out so many lanes, never letting G0rynich drone really hard. Meanwhile, he's gonna save 5 out of the 7 Zealots this time. And this isn't even the real threat for TT1, because this time he's got his double gas, he's got the Templar Archive. He's probably gonna go for another similar timing like we saw in the Sylphid and Circuit Breaker game, but it's gonna be more Dragoon heavy. It's not just gonna be pure Zealot. And just, what does G0rynich have? We have 1 Hydra out. That's it.
Well, when you put it that way, Nyokin, it looks a lot worse than it is. But it actually might be that bad. No, this is a ton of Zealots. Yeah, how do you beat this many Zealots with Zerglings? Like, thankfully there's some Sunkens here. Oh my god, yeah, you're right. That +1 is going to make them so scary. Oh! There's double Sunkens than that, but it doesn't matter if you run right by a drone block on the ramp. Maybe he can drill through. He's not actually drilling at all. He's just tanking with the drones. That is not what they are meant for, Nyokin.
Yeah, now we got Zealots into the main. We're going to have another drone. The drone pull at the natural. We're still not mining. We're going to have a potential drone pull in the main. No, we're not. Regardless, we're still forcing out a ton of Lings. That's not what you want as Zerg, because you know TT1's just building more Zealots. These Zealots have +1. Lings are just going to get shredded. We've got the first Templar coming out for TT1. And behind this, again, we have more gates. So this is going to be another huge timing from TT1. And I just feel like G0rynich just doesn't have the econ this time. But as I say that, supplies are 55 to 70, which is not bad, but I am worried that our lair is only halfway done.
Well, let's see what the play is here from G0rynich. What, like, is he gonna try to? You can't bust that. So I think he was just trying to see if maybe there was a greedy expo from TT1 on the other side, and maybe catch him out that way, cancel that, and then run back. But I mean, he does have soft map control with these Zerglings spread everywhere, so maybe that's going to give him enough safety to be able to kind of pump out the Hydra numbers that he's going to need behind this. But there's actually, this is really interesting. There's DT shuttle play coming out of TT1. This is definitely not what I'm used to.
Yeah, I feel like TT1's going to attack and then drop at the same time, and then regardless of how his attack works, his DTs are just going to do catastrophic damage. If we look at the main, we have 1 Overlord, but there's no Sunken there. There's not multiple Overlords. Okay, there is 2 Overlords, but regardless, it's super open. And look how big Kaisera's main is. You can drop almost anywhere and get in.
Yeah, it is actually way more wide open than I expected. I guess I'm just not used to this map just yet. Oh, it's this 1-2 punch, right? If the first one doesn't get you, that second one is coming. And so now, the push looks pretty normal. Actually, revealing that shuttle might tip G0rynich off, but he does still have to deal with this Storm Zealot pressure in the middle. But if he overextends, oh my god, this shuttle might, this is going to be so terrible. He's got a Storm Drop and 2 DTs. This is going to be so painful to watch.
Yeah, here comes the Storm Drop. He's not even going to recognize that there's DTs in his base. I think he's just going to realize that it's a Storm Drop. Oh no, did all the drones just clump? I think they did it.
Oh my god.
But
so much damage.
Counterattacking. He has a lot of Hydras.
He's targeting the lair. What? This is the most terrible thing ever. Well, I was right, Nyokin. That was hard to watch.
Yeah, the DT's focus firing lair didn't get it. But meanwhile, G0rynich sat in a storm. Oh, he's going to get all those probes too. That one does not have energy, but regardless, G0rynich, he got a lot of damage done in the front, but I don't think it's enough, because look at supplies. We got 100 to 70 now. I still see drones transferring to the main, so his econ is pretty shoddy. Can't build a bunch of Hydras at this point. Oh, he's got a ton of Lurkers morphing, so that's going to be very critical for this incoming attack from TT1.
I mean, he dealt with that pretty well. Those first two storms were kind of rough considering the low drone count already. But he staved it off. That was a lot of gas to lose, especially with no gas at the third base that TT1's expanding to. So, it's hard to tell. I do think that TT1 is in maybe a little bit of a better spot. See how many storms he has here. I only see two high Templar. I guess there's one more on the way.
Yeah, well, here comes TT1. There's a lot of Zealots. Not that many Dragoons, but a decent amount to be able to range the Lurkers pretty well. Where's the Observer? We also don't have that many storms. Maybe 3. That's a decent amount. But I am worried for G0rynich because we don't have 4 base. We have 3 base, and they're all right next to each other. And now that I'm looking at the map, what do you think about TT1 taking this high ground 4th base and just spamming cannons there?
No, I actually would really like that. Not only because I think at this point TT1 has a lot of map control, a lot of pressure there, so maybe you can get that double expo off. But also because you're gonna eventually need. He's about to mine out of his main, so he needs to get up at least somewhere to get a better economy. Let's see if he can break through here at the third base of G0rynich, though. There's Lurkers in a great spot. He's actually flanking with Hydras that are doing a pretty decent job storm dodging. That last one was maybe the exception to the rule, but G0rynich is hanging on really well.
Yeah, G0rynich hanging on, and I see that these Lurkers on the right side of his army killing these temples could come into play, but TT1 trying to attack, but there's just not that many Dragoons. 7 Dragoons, not that many. Oh, can't bleed off Templars. I feel like G0rynich is holding on pretty nicely.
Oh yeah, those Lurkers actually getting so much damage off onto the Zealots. Hydra's pulling back and doing a really solid dance here. I think this is too much for TT1 to start losing. Okay, that storm is really good.
Yeah, that was a great storm, but that temple has gone down, so if he can get another temple down on the bottom side near TT1, that's a potential counterattack route that TT1 doesn't see. It's not like he has a pylon here scouting it, so TT1 has to be worried about that. Also, G0rynich has taken top left. Now, he doesn't have any saturation there, but G0rynich, he's got a lot of units. I don't think TT1 can bust in here. Also, a lot of his units have been softened up continuously by these Lurkers. It looks like he's trying to set up for another bust, but I am worried that we don't have a 4th base for TT1 at this point.
Yeah, round 2 can be almost scarier than that initial attack here, because G0rynich just held off, and if he lets up too much on the throttle, then he can actually just die to this. But that usually the thing that makes the second round scary is that a lot of the High Templars have survived and have more storm energy. But he actually lost all but one of his High Templar in that last push, so that makes it a whole lot less scary the second time around. And now G0rynich has that 4th base coming up behind it. He's been able to kind of limit a lot of the Protoss out on the map. So as long as he doesn't die to the standing army, I think G0rynich is in a sick spot.
Yeah, we even have Hive coming up. It's about halfway done. What I like that G0rynich has done every time TT1 is poked in here, watch these Hydras. They like pick off a couple units and back off. Well, this time he didn't, but regardless, the Lurkers are holding strong. But is there too much at this point? There's only Lurkers.
Yeah, he actually has no Hydras. What happened there? He's going to try to pump a few out. I mean, these Lurkers are getting a bunch of damage done, but there's plenty of Observers. The Dragoons are doing exactly what you said, Nyokin. They're ranging out those Hydras, so they're actually really not that effective. There's a bunch of Hydras and Lurkers coming from that 4th base, but they're actually really far away.
Yeah, it's taking them a long time to come back. Meanwhile, Lings are coming out, but TT1's just streaming Zealots across the map, so these Zealots are going to deal with the Lings pretty well. G0rynich may have survived, but I don't think so because we got 110 supply to 55. And I think G0rynich just unfortunately out of position just slightly, and now he's given up too much room to TT1. Even if TT1 doesn't break the Nat or something, he's going to pick off 2 hatcheries, which is half of the production from G0rynich.
Yeah, no, this is critical damage. I mean, those Sunkens are doing quite a bit here, taking out a bunch of these ancillary Dragoons. But the rally point, that's just going to be so critical. I don't know if he's ever going to reach, or if G0rynich is ever going to have enough at once to push this force back.
Yeah, these Dragoons have just done amazing damage. It seems like they never die. He's trading Zealots, doesn't even matter at this point. The 3rd has been compromised. Supplies 40 to 100. I think TT1's going to make it out here. He even has a 4th base at bottom left.
Yeah. Ooh, 42 supply here for G0rynich. I think he just kind of let off the throttle there. He was doing so well holding and holding and holding, and eventually he just ran out of Hydras. Now pushing through this Archon, kind of tanking for the Dragoons in the back. That's going to do it. G0rynich taps out. TT1 advances on to our winners match.
Yeah, and that was nice play from both sides. It really looked like G0rynich was going to hold. I'm curious. I'd have to rewatch the game again to see exactly where it went wrong. We know that he sent a few units to top left. But those Hydras that I was pointing out, if we went back to previous battles before he got busted there, those Hydras, they were focus firing Dragoons, not letting TT1 ever get up to critical mass. Like every time TT1 attacked, it'd be like 8 or 9 Dragoons, and then G0rynich would pick off like 5 of them, and then we're back down to 4. So TT1 could never break through. So it was nice defense from G0rynich. I would have to watch again to see exactly what was the tipping point. But regardless, TT1 played nice, G0rynich played nice. But now we're going to have the Dandy Monster versus TT1.
That's going to be so sick to watch.